Who's going to be first? Jack?
Bronco boy, I guess. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If it's Tuesday, it must be the Idle Zone Syndicate. Back from our holiday break. As you see, John went to the soup kitchen and got a new hoodie at the soup kitchen. They hand those out with... No, I'm not going to pick at him. That's as much as I'm going to pick at you.
You get free T-shirts whenever you have the only shutout in the NFL on the weekend.
There you go. You should be receiving that. What's up, guys?
How was your Christmas?
Happy 2025.
Yes.
How was everybody's Christmas?
Was good.
What was your, I guess, what was your favorite Christmas gift you got, if you got any? I'm personally getting to the age where really don't get any anymore, or to the adults, you know, how you give stuff to the kids, but nothing to the adults. So when you buy stuff, that's your Christmas present. So this is my Christmas present. What'd you get, Kyle?
Man, honestly, my Christmas present was my wife allowing me to go crappie fishing after all the smoke went away. So, I mean, we had a really good Christmas and a good New Year's. Stayed around the house, watched the kids open up some gifts, and got in a little bit of crappie fishing before the crazy cold front came in. So it was nice. So now we're frozen in, and man, just
Danny, Connor, what'd you get?
What am I doing?
Got a Blackstone.
Oh, nice.
And I got to carry it.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's a short
Yeah,
end
his
of the stick.
girlfriend got home with it and said, hey, do you think you could come by here and help me get this thing in the house? And I'm like, okay, it's just a Blackstone, you know, not that heavy. And I think there was about 4 salespeople in that box. I'm going to guarantee it.
Pretty heavy.
Cranker, what'd you get?
I got some hook gear, hoodie, shirt, a polo. Got one of those heavy duty Carhartt hoodies that Kister keeps talking about. Those are pretty nice.
Nice.
And we decided to get a PS5 for the house for the big family gift. So my son's been enjoying that especially.
That was a good job on your
and
part.
I have also. Yeah.
Yeah. Good job.
Been some late nights up gaming. Haven't done that for quite a few years.
Nice.
So, yep.
Oh, you kids.
Mm-hmm.
And New Year's? What'd everybody do for New Year's?
Went to sleep.
Probably most of us did that, except for maybe the kid with the Coors hat on.
It was pretty chill. Now that my dad got I'm domesticated now, fellas. It's not domesticated.
You saying you're finally housebroke, Connor?
I wouldn't go quite that far, but
Well, you
pretty close.
You notice there is no mullet. There is no mullet on the back. So,
When did that happen?
Yeah, I'm pretty much housebroke, to be honest.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
That was shortly after Miss Renly came to be.
Yeah.
Nice.
New Year's. Let's see. I took a nap, and then I woke up, and then we went to bed, and that was about I don't know,
Man.
10:30.
Am I the only one that stayed up till midnight? Kyle,
I
you
was
did.
up, but it was very uneventful.
Yeah. Hister.
I mean, I was up.
8:45, 9 o'clock, man. I'm not a New Year's kind of person.
Yeah. I went to a wild party at my pastor's house. So, 6 to 9. And then we came home and stayed up till midnight and went to bed at like 12:02. But we did
look
this weekend we did go to the casino and hang out with Elvis impersonator who actually stayed here. I should have sent that picture today. So we all got my brother, two brother-in-laws came down and we hadn't hung out for a couple years, really, all of us together. And so we had a few Saturday night at the casino and hung out with Elvis.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to add an Elvis to the MO around here.
Maybe.
Elvis impersonators, aliens, Bigfoot.
Yeah, maybe.
And
What else news we got before we go to our guest? Any news
let's
besides
see.
cold weather?
You
Nation
crazy
news,
guys are
nation
still
news.
fishing at Grand.
The
Do what?
fishing at Grand is pretty darn good right now.
I saw that.
Unfortunately, I still don't have a lower unit on my boat, so. But the good news
Are you
is
serious?
they found it. They found it. So it is at the shop, and hopefully I'll get the new one back here end of the week or so. Maybe that's what the guy said. So,
Cool.
and then maybe I can take part in some of these. It's taking 24 to 26 pounds to win the little Saturday morning jackpot right now. So they're catching them.
I saw that. I was
And,
reading that. And good night.
Yeah. And it's been that way for 3 or 4 weeks now. So they're in that winter time, catching them on the A rig, looking at them, what they're doing. So I say the fish are biting. Probably a good thing I don't have a low unit, because then I won't be frustrated because I can't do that crap. Anyway,
We're
Before-
almost
anyway.
started.
before we get into the meat of the show, and I don't want to bring it down any, but it is the local portion, and y'all, I don't know if you heard this or not, but the owner of Matt's place was in a car accident and unfortunately didn't make it. So Matt, Matt's place, the diner there. So keep his family and all the folks there at Matt's, because we all eat there and we're all familiar with Matt's and the family there. So just keep them in your prayers, when you're doing that stuff. But thought y'all should know, because I know we all go there. So
Yeah, very true.
and they've been keeping the place up. That happened Sunday, so they've been keeping the place open, but and I'm assuming they're going to stay open. But Anyway, so not to start the night off on a low note, but I
Not
do.
at all.
I just didn't want to lose. I didn't want to lose. I didn't want to lose it in our show tonight, because I know pretty much everybody that's watching this show has eaten at Matt's place, and he was a good dude.
Yes.
So
Good
Anyway.
guy. Will be missed.
let's bring on our guest. Do
We
you
have a
have
guest?
stats, Kyle?
Absolutely.
Go for it.
How can you not have stats on a guy like this evening? I mean, he's fished 163 events per Bassmaster, and he's finished in the money 120 times, which is pretty awesome. He's made 13 classics. He's got 34 top 10s, 60 top 20s, and 80 top 30s. And he's over $2 million in career earnings. Mr. Brandon Palaniuk, everybody. Golf.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
Good.
How are you?
I'm
How
good.
How was your Christmas with the girls?
It was great. They're at 2.5 and 1, so they're a pretty fun age right now. The older one actually understands the whole present game, and the 1-year-old still thinks wrapping paper and the box that the toy comes in is just as cool as the toy.
That's
So,
enjoy that while you can.
Yeah, it's
Amen to that.
it's quite a bit of fun around here right now. It was a busy Christmas. We have a pretty big family, so I feel like Christmas ends up becoming like a 2-week extravaganza around here, but I enjoy it.
Y'all do the elf on the shelf thing?
No, I refuse to start that, because once you start, you can't stop.
That's
And
great.
so I'm like, I'm just not even going to introduce my kids to that yet, or myself, or my wife.
That is correct. However, they do have. I just found this out this year, that so my wife, my grandkids, my son's wife is a school teacher, so she's
Mhm.
all into the, making up stories and writing notes from the elves and all that, and
Yeah.
she gets into it big time. But all this time, for the last several years, she's had to make up stories and make up things for the elves to do. Well, now they come with those instructions in the box on suggestions on what to do each day, so you don't really have to think about it, which is very wise on the elf on the shelf people deal, if you ever want to get into that.
I think I'm still gonna pass. I'm yet to meet a grown adult that is like, man, you know what I love doing every December? Elf on the Shelf.
Well, you need to meet Nicole, because she loves it. I don't know how, but she loves it.
Well, we
For
got
example, they came down here for 2 days, and they brought, the elves somehow made it down here. And the next morning we got up, and they had gotten into a whole box of candy canes and hid them
one.
all over the property. So we all had to go find them. And it took a
You got
long
drug
time.
into it.
Yeah. But it was fun. It's all good.
It was pretty funny though.
Yeah. It's all good. So what else you been doing? Been doing some hunting and
I've been hunting, been fishing a little bit, getting boat ready and truck ready for the upcoming season. Seems like every year the off season goes by faster and faster, or even just the years go by faster. And so I can't believe it's already January, already flying out to work boat shows and things like that. And seems like January always goes by very fast, and we have to leave at the end of the month and then we won't be home for quite a while. So it seems like January, you know, when you're flying out every weekend to boat shows and fishing shows and things like that, and you've only got 3 days a week at home and you're trying to pack, get ready for a 6-month stint on the road, it goes by very fast, very fast. So I actually got out on the water today, got some filming done, and got some content put together so that we've got some new stuff to put out here shortly.
Is it warm up there? I mean, it's freezing here. It's like I don't even want to go out on the water, and I like fishing in the winter. I don't even want to go out there today.
You know what? It is warmer here than it is across the Midwest right now. We have had an incredibly warm winter. Tons of snow in the mountains, no snow down low, which is amazing, right? I mean, our highs are mid 30s and our lows are in the 20s, and that's like as cold as it's got all winter. It's been great.
Yeah, we had a pretty mild winter until this week, till this past week, really.
I know. I was actually not far from you because I was in Collinsville, Illinois last weekend for a show, flew into St. Louis, and then I was supposed to fly out of St. Louis, but I ended up working the show Friday, Saturday, hopped in the truck with the Skeeter rep, and we drove all the way back to Tulsa.
Tim?
Got to his house. Yeah, rode back with Tim. So I changed my flight from St. Louis to Tulsa and then flew out of Tulsa because I didn't feel like my odds were very good of getting out of St. Louis.
Yeah. Probably a wise choice.
Yeah.
Wise choice.
Yeah.
How many boat shows do you do like in a winter?
Pretty much every weekend through January. And then a lot of times in February, like between the elite tournament, or around the elite tournament, a lot of times doing between those. Then it seems like they kind of start slowing down once March comes around. But January and February is super busy.
Yeah. Is it getting easier as you get older to get ready for? You have it more dialed in, getting ready for tournament season, getting rolling from the boat shows right into the tournament season, or is it just different every year? Or what's it like for you?
I would say that part is easier just because I know what to expect a little more. And so I can start on things ahead of time, you know, getting the boat ready earlier and getting the truck ready. Like I know what's coming, so I'm able to prep for it earlier.
Yeah.
But the other side of it is that now we're packing a boat truck and another truck and a fifth wheel and a dog and 2 kids and my wife. And so there ends up being a lot more things that need to be packed and prepped and ready to go. So that part has gotten more difficult or more complicating, even though we have a pretty good system with that as well. It's just time consuming, right?
Yep.
And to pack that much stuff and get your tackle and everything organized, you know, and usually when it comes to sponsor products, you can't order anything until after the new year because that's when budgets renew. So then you know, you go through all your stuff and then you start putting in orders around this time, and then it takes a little while for that stuff to ship. So it's always like packing and prepping and getting all my tackle ready and loaded pretty much that week before we leave is what it seems like.
Do you take everything you need for the season with you, or do you break it up? Do you get back home in between at some point and reload, or how does that work for you?
It just depends on the season, but I think like this stretch we'll be gone 5 months. We won't come back till June probably. So we'll have 3/4 of the elite season done before I come home, and we're going to be fishing everything, from Lake Fork to Sabine River and Okeechobee. I'll pretty much pack everything for every situation, for all different depths and cover types and things. I'm going to have minnows, and I'm going to have topwaters and glide bait, and I'll have to be loaded down, because I won't be able to come home and reload during the season until we go north. And then it'll be pretty easy, because I'll just have to pack for St. Clair and Mississippi River, and be pretty easy to pack for those two.
Yeah. Jump in here, Kyle, if you got a question. I know you do. You're chomping at the bit.
I just, one of my biggest things that's always fun to ask is, guys like you have got to be tackle addicts and tackle tinkering. So what's kind of your favorite, what's your favorite lure to tinker with? Is it a glide bait, or is it, obviously there's not a whole lot to mess with when you got a little minnow. Do you have something that sticks out?
I would say probably swim baits are the most fun to mess with. I like tinkering with like bladed jigs and flipping jigs, football jigs, things like that. Like just messing with different skirt materials and different trailers, and cutting them different lengths and seeing how they fall and react. And I like messing around with some of that stuff, or crankbait stuff can be fun too.
Are you one of those guys that collects a little bit too, or do you carry some of the old pre-Rapala wiggle warts and stuff like that?
I definitely have a tackle room full of stuff that is beyond necessary. Whether it's like old nostalgic stuff personally, or industry wise, right? I got a pretty good size box of some old WEC crankbaits.
Oh, nice.
I've got some old wiggle warts, not a ton. I actually robbed some out of my father-in-law's boat usually when we go down, because he's got a bunch of the old steelhead colors from back in the day,
like the pink shrimp.
Yeah, or like chrome blue looking, or like purple, red, like some pretty bright, obnoxious steelhead colors.
Yeah, like
you just sandblast them and get them repainted. Yeah, I got swim baits is probably where most of my collecting happens.
So is that so when you say swim baits, is that like jointed, soft plastic ones, or like just the whole realm in general is what?
Mostly hard baits. And then like some soft bait stuff, some like Working Class Zero or Huston's, Smith baits. Some of the bigger soft plastic stuff. I got some like old LA sliders that are cool just from back in the day, or like old Castaic soft plastic stuff. But a lot of it's just really cool hard bait stuff, because that's where I feel like you get kind of the artistry side of it too. Like I got, 8 Roman made mothers. I got a mother chaser, a couple handfuls of negotiators. I got I got so much stuff. I got a ton of clutch stuff, ton of phony stuff. Old Hinkle shads.
Clutch?
Yeah, I got a bunch of clutch stuff.
Are they? You don't have to say this because we might all be biased, but are they easier? Is that an easier glide bait to use versus another one, or like? can you kind of explain the nuts and bolts of why the clutch is a decent glide bait versus an Arashi or whatever it might be?
Well, which clutch are you referring to? A darter, an eco, a boss, an OG?
So you're talking to a complete idiot when it comes to
time.
glide fishing.
Time.
I'm at,
Kyle does not throw glide baits.
Yeah.
There we go.
How do you not throw glide baits, Kyle?
I don't know
because
how.
we're old.
I don't know how, and honestly, I learn a lot of techniques from friends of mine and this and that. I don't have one single friend that knows how to throw the daggum thing, so
Yeah.
I'm trying to
I got
learn.
addicted to it.
So
That's all I throw now. To it.
the clutch ones they're really well built. They've never been like the most artistic, beautiful looking ones, but they're just fish catchers. The darter is a very fast action bait, super easy to use. When it comes to big glide baits, like 8-inch glide baits, the Boss is probably one of the easiest ones to use. You mentioned Rashi, like that's probably the easiest price point, mass produced one right now to use. At a cheap price point, like a clutch darter's $220, $250, I think.
Right.
But that's just because there's a lot that goes into it. I think a Boss is like 180 or 200.
Yeah.
So there's a ton of really good manufacturers out there. Some of them are more easy to use than others, but that doesn't mean that they're better necessarily.
So just to kind of cap off this whole glide bait thing, in your honest opinion, somebody that lives in the Midwest, which I live, Southeast Kansas, is that a road that I need to start driving down? Like the
Yeah.
whole buy a handful of them and you start using them, in your opinion, or what?
Yes, I definitely would. I mean, I wouldn't get super worked up about one at like Lake Milford or something like that. I
What the
mean,
heck? What's the matter with Lake Milford?
Well, there's no fish in it.
and
I like
the one
suck.
time I fished it wasn't super impressive. But, not to say that it wouldn't work there, just saying I don't know if there were too many limits caught there. So they glides typically tend to work around places that have more bass in them.
They don't work at all at Grand Lake, and they don't work at all
Yeah.
at Big Hill.
Well,
They don't
Neither
work
one of
Wilson
those
either.
places will those two baits catch a fish, Kyle.
you're familiar, Brandon, with Grand Lake, Table Rock, Stockton, Lake of the Ozarks. That's pretty much the
Yes,
for
all
an
the
example.
Ozark lakes. I've caught bass on glides in all of the Ozark lakes.
Okay.
They set up great for it because generally you've got some visibility, you've got good ambush points, right? Rock and steeper drops, bluff walls, laydowns. It comes with good ambush points and good visibility in places that you can throw them.
Cool.
And they've got good populations of fish, right? So it doesn't matter if it's spots or largemouth or whatever it may be. All the species will eat them. I mean, I know at Table Rock, I've caught smallmouth spots and largemouth the same glide in the same day.
How do you work your bait? Do you vary it? The reason I asked this, I was listening to a podcast today with Justin Hamner, and he was saying that he rarely works a glide bait slow, which kind of surprised me. Like he works it fast all the time with the reel. Like he doesn't use the tip, he just uses the reel, just all, but it's quick. He's looking for the aggressive fish that wants to attack, something. And that's the first time I'd heard that. Most guys I hear, do the make it glide,
Mhm.
where it got its name. So how do you?
To me, it's situational. If you're talking herring spawn stuff, yeah, it's probably going to be super fast, erratic, tons of movement. If it's early spring and the water's still pretty cold, I'm going to be, more slow, steady. If I'm trying to draw those fish up from deeper water, that slower kind of steady glide is what's going to draw those fish up. But as they get closer, I'm going to match their aggression, right? If they start coming faster, then I'm generally going to speed it up and I'm going to start to, hit it a little bit harder. So it starts chopping more and more at the side. And I kind of pay attention to their aggression and I try to match that, right? And where I'm just constantly keeping those fish engaged. And, so I may be going down a bluff and I throw it out there and I'm just working it slow side to side down the bluff. And then I come to where there's a little outcropping and I may give it a couple little quick twitches and then let it glide off to the side to try to get a fish to react off of a target. If I see something, I'm like, I feel like there's a bass right there, then I'll create a change of direction or speed to try to get those fish to trigger.
Is there a water temperature that's better, or time when you will or won't use it? Feel like it's not, that's not a good temperature to use it in, or what's the best temperature area?
Anything over 55, really. Seems like he's getting under 55, and they tend to not eat a glide as well. At least bass don't. And I would say, like, anytime it's 60s, it seems like that's the best.
Okay. Interesting. So there you go, Kyle. Buy you some glide baits.
I'll have to check them out.
Do not throw them on Grand Lake or Big Hill Lake. Neither
No.
one of those lakes they will work on.
I own,
Especially if I'm fishing against you.
I can't, it takes confidence in anything you do, right? And I own 3, and I've just like kaploosh, and I'm going, I probably should be throwing something else because I suck. So
Well, if you reel like that, I see why.
it's like, I feel like I have to use like this giant reel to even cast it. So it's like,
What kind of setup do you use, Brandon? What kind of line? What size?
I throw a 7-9 heavy. It's an Alpha Angler wide glide, and then usually I'll throw like a Daiwa Zillion HD or a Tula 300. Use a 300 for like the bigger stuff, and then HD for kind of the medium size stuff. And then typically I throw anywhere from 20. Usually I'll throw like 20 on Sartasu all the way up to 25. Usually I don't go above 25. I've just never found a need to go above 25. And you want to make sure you have something that's not super coily, because if you've got a bait that kind of is a real slow sink, then when you have that coil, that line actually pull that bait. If you're trying to have a neutral buoyancy and a good glide, you'll actually affect the action if you've got too much memory in your line.
interesting. That's a little piece of special stuff right there, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a special stuff right there.
Yeah.
There was a question somebody asked. What lake are you looking forward to on the schedule this year most?
Man, we got some good ones. Lake Fork has got to be one of my favorite fisheries in the country. That one's always fun. Mississippi River doesn't have the biggest fish, but when you go there in August, like you can just pick up a frog and just frog all day long. Like you can't argue that that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like even if they're 2.5 pounders, it's still fun.
Yeah.
You just need to go find 2 3/4 pounders and you'll make a top 10. Like,
Mhm.
That's just the difference.
Yeah. So Mississippi and Lake Fork.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm
What
kind
about
of
the-
interested. I'm under the Pasquid Talk River. Or how can you
yeah,
say
that's
it?
the one I was going to ask you about. What do you know about that?
I know nothing about it, but I think that's why it's intriguing to me.
Yeah, that's fun, right? To go
Yeah.
try somewhere
Yeah,
new.
somewhere new. From the research I've done, it seems like it's tidal, but it doesn't have a huge tide effect, just because the inlet seems like it's so small and there's so much water on the backside of it that it does have some flow, but it's not like a Sabine River where you get these massive rushes of water in and out.
Right. I'm just looking at the questions to make sure we didn't miss any before we get too far down the road.
Well, while you're checking those out, Brandon, while we got a little time here, one bait, one technique, one little nugget that you wish hadn't been talked about or released to the public. Anything?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I feel like I was throwing a jig head minnow pretty early on before that started to get out. And it seemed like there was a group of guys that had kind of figured that out and been passed around, and it stayed under wraps for about a year. And then you can only hide it for so long. There's so many cameras and stuff going around now that you can't keep stuff quiet like you could back in the old days. Like, and when I say old days, before my time. I mean, it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's a lot now that is just like mind blowing. Like, oh yeah, it's not like I had an Alabama rig before everyone else.
Because like I was listening to the show that KBD and Mark Zona put up. I think Zona actually put it up on his YouTube channel and stuff. And Kevin Van Dam's was hair jig. He said he's like, that is the one thing that I wished I didn't have to release, because it was like his, oh my God, bait,
Yeah.
So it's interesting to hear that from different people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I remember watching Kevin the first time that the hair jig got exposed. I'm guessing he's talking like a big hair jig, like a bucktail big hair jig. Because we kept marabou hair jigs quiet for quite a while. I gotta throw that around for probably 4 or 5 years before every single guy had one tied up on his front deck.
Like the black marabous for mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think,
4 or 5 years ago, you wouldn't have even known what I was talking about. But
right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot less. It's a lot less cool, if you ask me. You know what I mean? It's like I crappie fish. What in the world am I going to use that for catch a smallmouth for? You know?
it doesn't seem as cool until you watch a 6-pounder that you've thrown at 10 different times, and then all of a sudden you throw that out there and he goes, "Beep," and he just turns over and eats it. Like, okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right then.
Do you miss the days from like your early days when there weren't so many cameras and you could keep a secret for a little while if you got on something?
I mean, I've never been that caught up in like trying to keep a bait a secret. I don't know. I mean, I don't think tackle is like what cameras have exposed the most. You know, I think they expose a lot more areas and things than certain lures or techniques.
Or how that lure's being worked, or
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah, I'd agree with that. So do you miss those days where your spots are a little bit more hidden?
You know what? More than cameras, it's probably mapping.
Yeah.
Like before everybody had mapping, because there was a time on the Elites where I had Lake Master mapping, and if I was idling around an area and I looked up and I saw a boat and I was like, oh, that guy, like, he's with a different boat, he doesn't have a Lake Master, I would seriously just not even be worried about it. I was like, oh, he's not going to find this stuff. But if it was a guy that pulled up like in the same area as me, I'm like, oh yeah, that's another Humminbird guy. He's got Lake Master. I would proceed with more caution in an area, knowing that if he saw me idling around on a place or something, he would be able to pinpoint and like, oh yeah, Brandon's idling that hump, or he's idling that point or creek channel or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. So let's go way back to the beginning when you and I met. Do you remember when you and I met?
What? When I was like 16 at the Columbia River? Would have been that far back?
I don't know if we met at the Columbia River, but we met at Coeur d'Alene. I remember that.
Okay. Yeah.
You-
I couldn't remember if you were part of it when I did the first Western Divisional. But I do remember Coeur d'Alene.
Maybe. Was the first one at it was on the Columbia, but it was on, what was that town?
It was
Not
Columbia
Kennewick.
River, but it was out of Boardman.
Yeah, I don't know if I was there at that one.
Yeah. I was
don't know if
a
I was
little
there.
measly co-angler anyways.
Yeah.
You wouldn't remember.
But so at Coeur d'Alene, you got second, I believe, in the regional or in the division.
Yeah. For overall, yeah.
Yeah. So you got second, and that's where I remember meeting you, I guess, because that was a pretty good tournament for a lot of folks. A lot of fish caught, but that's where
Yeah.
I remember meeting you. And then 2 years, I think, not the next year, but the following year, you went to you made it to Martinez, I think. And then made the championship.
Yep.
And made the championship that you won.
Correct.
So talk about the early days of, back then we didn't have the Elite Series funding, and that we had shortly after that. Unfortunately, we started doing the nation's best and got like a credit for your entry fees and stuff like that. So, but explain kind of how you. That's what really started this podcast. Was last year we decided to have some guys on that made it through the nation, and we'd had several of them. Will Davis and Pat Schlopper, and those folks, and uh, they just talked about how they made it and how they made it through the nation and got into the elite. So go back that far and talk about that a little bit for everybody, so they know there still is a chance. There still is that ability for somebody to do that might be watching this show, for the nation guys.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the nation is still the best way to make it if you're self-funding. Right? Like if you have to work a job, support a family, and you want to test yourself and see if you have what it takes to make it, there's no better route than the nation, especially like from a financial standpoint. Like that is the most realistic way. And so when I was growing up, like I decided at 8 that all I wanted to do was fish for a living. And being from out west, being from Idaho, and there wasn't high school fishing, it wasn't college fishing. The only route I had to the elites and to the Bassmaster Classic was the Bass Nation or the Bass Federation. And so I started fishing the state qualifiers when I was 16. Saved up, got a boat, started fishing those, started making the state teams, going to the Western divisionals. That's where I met you. That's where I met my first boss at Skeeter and Yamaha. I met a lot of the initial sponsorships that I had, as far as national sponsors and companies go, came through networking at those nation events and meeting those people, right? Whether it was at a regional or whether it was at a national event. The more consistent I was, the more I consistently met those people. And so, fast forward to 2010, and I make it to the state team down at Lake Martinez in Yuma, Arizona, and end up winning for the state of Idaho there, qualify for nationals, and then that fall won on the Red River. And all the all the people that I had met throughout the industry were there that night, and all of them asked what I was going to do, meaning, was I going to take the elite berth? And there was zero hesitation in my mind. I said, of course. Like if I had to take out a business loan, like whatever I had to do, I was going to do that, because that was the whole intention of me spending 7 years fishing the Bass Nation, was to win that event and have that opportunity. And at that time, nobody had ever taken it. Guys had qualified, but they either had families or jobs that they couldn't walk away from and gamble. And I was the first guy to say, hey, I'm going to go, I'm going to take this chance. I didn't have a family. I was a 23-year-old kid. I think I was 22 when I won, and then turned 23 before the Classic and the elites. And Skeeter and Yamaha stepped up in a big way, put me on a memo deal, which allowed me to sell the boat that I won. that event because I think I won what was it at the time? I think it was an FX20 250 show
like
on
that.
it.
Mhm.
And I sold that certificate that I won there, which helped pay for my elites that first season. And then they just put me on a delayed bill, so I didn't have to make payments for a year, and then I could sell it at the end of the year. So that's, and then now I've been with them. I just rigged my 15th Skeeter. I've been with them for 15 years now.
That's awesome.
And those relationships came because I met those people, over time and stayed in contact with them through the nation. And I didn't know how I was going to fund all of it. So I came up with this idea that I would reach out. Like I would wrap my boat in the Bass Nation kind of colors and promote Bass Nation, since I was the first guy to come up through the nation and take the elite berth. And I just came up with this idea that I would try to get any money from all the states, right? And rather than just promoting Idaho Bass Nation, I would promote the entire organization as a whole. And it was amazing to see what states like stepped up in that. Obviously a lot of the Western states did, because I was a Western guy and had relationships with a lot of those people. But even little tiny chapters like Maine, I think Maine pitched in $1,000.
Mhm.
And they're not a big organization. They don't have a ton of anglers fishing in Maine, but they believed in what I was doing. And I've never forgot like the people that stepped up and supported me that first year.
That's cool.
Yeah, wasn't that rap like, didn't it have like all the little, like every state, like Alabama Bass Nation, didn't, or am I
Yeah,
imagining
we
that?
put there were some in there. It built into the wrap, and then the main part, it was blue and white, and then the main part just had a big Bass Nation. Well, it actually said the Bass Federation. It wasn't the Bass Nation then,
Yep.
It was the Bass Federation.
Yeah.
So it had the BASS logo, the Bass Federation logo, and wording in it on the boat and truck.
And you started that kind of the state donation thing, and that went on for several years.
Yeah.
When guys, after you accepted, and then the guys started to accept, a lot of states continued that. Maine and Alabama continued to help out the nation guy or the federation guy. So it was a cool deal.
Yeah. And now, I mean, it's set up even better now. Yeah. I mean, there's really not a better way to go about it if you're just scraping by and trying to make it just on your fishing skills. I still don't think there's a better opportunity or better route to go.
And with the new, I guess it's $10,000 you're putting up this year, each angler, instead of 53 or 55 or 45 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That's even better now. So they have that opportunity. It's a little harder.
Sure.
I think it's a little harder with the 250 boat regionals, now, and I don't know if it's a little harder. That's probably not correct.
Not necessarily. Well, not necessarily more difficult, but it favors parts of the country the way that it is built now, right? Like, so a guy from up here in Idaho previously, if he qualified for the state team, he was going to go fish against 56, 58 other guys from around the world.
Yeah.
48 guys from down here, and guy from Spain and Mexico and Italy and Canada, and you went and competed against those guys on a body of water. So you maybe had 2 to 6 guys that had probably spent a fair amount of time on that body of water, depending on the region. Now, a guy from Idaho has to go down and compete against, 150 to 200 guys that spent a bunch of time on those bodies of water.
Yeah.
So it was still really difficult to make it because it was like there was another step that you had to get through to be the one guy from each state to get there. But it makes it much more difficult because you're competing against a much larger pool of anglers with local knowledge.
Yeah.
That have spent a bunch of time.
That local part is the hard part,
Yeah.
I mean, you can just look at the regionals and see who made it to the championships and then who finished well at the championship, who won the championship this year was, I mean, Blake's a great guy, great dude, but he's a local. I mean, pretty much. I mean, he fishes Grand a lot. He's, so that part of it is exactly right what you said. So, anyway, but it is what it is. That's the way it's going to be for a while, I think, and we have to figure out I'm fishing now, so I'm trying to figure out how to negotiate that. So I do what I can.
Yeah.
I try to negotiate getting state qualifiers and stuff on my home lake, which I did. I accomplished that this year. So maybe if I practice every day, maybe I'll qualify.
You deserve a round of applause for that too, John.
For the championship. Kansas is having their state qualifier on Grand. We just worked out that deal with the city, so
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. Should be a good one.
Yeah.
Should be good.
And, making it to the elites, I just feel compelled to say this, Brandon, is no easy task, and I think that maybe the opens is maybe stacked now and this and that, but the nation anglers that make it to the elite series, it seems like, in my opinion, are better than the anglers that make it to the elites and through the opens. But it's a conversation. It's a hard conversation to have because, but man, there's some, there's some
Opens
handlers that have made it.
Opens are pretty stout right now.
They're pretty stout right now, but years ago, I just feel like the nation anglers are more well-rounded, I guess I should say.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to get into the tech conversation, but before forward-facing sonar stuff, the guys that came through the nation were typically a better, well-rounded angler.
Yeah,
it's not across the board, but just on average, because you ended up fishing across your state, and you fished most likely in another state for the region, and you went to somewhere nationals that was, who knows how far away from your house.
Yeah.
Where, now it evens out a little bit because with the EQ setup in the opens, right, guys have to prove themselves across, the country. They have to fish a larger region. But before, like when it was just 3 tournaments, and 3 of those tournaments could essentially be lakes that you were really good at.
Exactly.
And like a guy in the Ozarks, like there could be a year where, you're gonna go to Grand, Table Rock, and Lake of the Ozarks or something like that, right? And you're like, perfect. I've won major tournaments on all 3 of those. And a guy could fish those and make elites, but it didn't mean that he was super well-rounded to fish and compete across the entire country. I think that's kind of evened out a lot more now, just because, and that was the reasoning for going to the EQs, right? Was to get better qualified guys that were going to come in and not just come and leave and go broke or go in debt to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
100% agree.
What are you fishing this year? Are you going to try to fish the EQs at the end as well? Or are you fishing any opens?
I'm only focusing on the elites. I looked at, every year I look at the open schedule, and then I looked at the NPFL schedule. Like, I always look at other tournaments. The hard part is that, like, this year there weren't any good divisions of anything that made travel sense with the elites. Not with 2 kids under 3.
Yeah.
Right. There was like one where we're at the Top River or whatever it's called. And then the open the next week, I think, was at like Rayburn or something. And then we were back at Hartwell the next week for the elite. So
Yeah.
I can either, and we're driving 2 vehicles, so it's way cheaper for me just to stay in South Carolina and have a week off there, take my kids to the zoo or something, or take them fishing, build content, something like that, rather than drive halfway across the country, turn around and drive halfway back. Like, because I can't do it as quickly with the kids.
Yeah.
And so it's just not fair to put them through that.
Yep. 100%. That's, but the EQ, Brock was asking about the EQs.
I'll
Anybody
fish them if I have to.
Yeah.
Because I believe if I understand it right, it'll be the guys that qualify from the divisions of the opens will fish them, and
Yep.
then any elite angler that is either on the chopping block to get kicked out of the elites, or anyone that missed the classic can come back and fish those.
Is that a change? Because I thought any elites could fish the EQs.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think any elite probably can.
I think that makes
I
sense.
guess personally,
Like, if I
will only fish them if I
Yeah.
have to.
Right. I think that makes sense. I think that's how it should be. Like, if you're an elite guy and you're on the chopping block, or you need to make the classic or whatever, then yes, you can fish it. If you don't need to fish it, I kind of feel like you're taking a spot, maybe from somebody for just money. But if you need the money, then I guess that's, I'm not making my living fishing. So, I can see
Yeah.
why guys would want to fish it if they felt like they could make money on a given body of water, kind of like you said, if the EQs are on a good, where you've done well and you're able to fish them, why not, I guess.
Well, it's not always just about where you can make money or not. A lot of times it's just because we're addicts
Yeah.
and we just need to scratch the itch. And so guys that live down, in the southeast part of this country, it's most likely where the tournaments are going to be in the fall. They can drive somewhere, right? And it's fairly close.
Yeah.
For me, most likely the closest there will be in one of those EQ events is the closest they would have one is like 30 hours from my house.
Yeah.
Maybe. So for me to commit to do those in the fall is a lot.
Yeah. I got you. So, how do you feel about being the guy that I think started the trend of wearing hats like you wear, and now everybody's wearing them?
It's funny you say that because you're not the first person to tell me that. I should have wore one. You're talking a nice rope hat, huh?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I don't know what happened with that. I found that hat that fit my head well, and I liked it. And then it seemed like every single company had their logo with that on that hat, on that blank.
Yeah.
So whatever it may be. I mean, I don't take credit for it.
It's all you, buddy. I mean, it was all you.
Glad I have some influence.
So, we've been waiting to have you on all year. All year.
That's not very long, John.
Well, all last year.
It's been 7 days.
All last year. And Dan, so I'm gonna let Dan take it from here because he knows what I'm talking about. And everybody on the comments is probably waiting for us to get into this. So I'm gonna let Dan take it from here.
They are.
They are.
They are.
You know they
And I got to preface a little bit. A couple of weeks ago, we had Mercer on. So we had Mercer, and he's just eating us alive, with like Dave does. But we have 2 questions that I ask every week. And
Okay.
one of them is, what's the weirdest thing you've seen on sonar? Well, of course, Dave Mercer. Really, Dan? Really? I mean, is nothing new and exciting anymore? I mean, everybody's asking the Palaniuk UFO question. So yeah, that's how I'm going to start out. I'm going to ask you the Palaniuk UFO question.
I mean, I'm excited to hear it.
I mean,
So-
the question. So we've asked
If
every
you care
guest
to
this
share.
question. Yeah, we've
Yeah.
asked every guest this question, but it derived from your time on the Mercer show, way
Yeah.
back when you talked about it, and so we've been chomping at the bit to get it from the horse's mouth and find out everything about
Yeah.
the weirdest thing you've seen on sonar.
It's an underwater UFO, which apparently might be a giant drone for all we know at this point.
It's not.
It may be one of the drones flying around that crashed. We don't really know. It is massive. It's, gosh, I'm trying to remember it. I mean, I'll go check it this year when we go to St. Clair. I'm trying to remember. It's like 200 feet across, or close to it.
Oh, come on.
It's big. Well, let me put it this way. Let me put it this way. If I have my Mega 360 set at 100-foot rings, right? So it's shooting 100 foot to the right and 100 foot to the left and 100 foot forward and 100 foot back. So that's essentially 200 feet across, 200 foot diameter. If I'm sitting dead center in the middle of it, which there's a perfect little round hole, it covers my screen.
Wow.
So I assume it's like about 200. We lose the other guys.
Yeah, I think we did. I
Moment.
think the UFOs. See the UFOs right when you
Yep.
start talking about it. I think
Yep.
it's
Everyone pretty soon just gonna be like, boop, 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 boop. We're all
Yeah.
Momentarily, they'll be back. Luckily, this is being recorded, so we're good.
yeah.
So,
So The
Yeah, go
craziest part is that, like before I had an Aquaview camera, I took a GoPro. So I'm like, I gotta see this thing. So I took a GoPro and I tied it to my line. I dropped it down in there. And of course, like I can't see it when it's down there. So I leave it down there for a while. I'm like trying to twist my line and stuff to get it to move around. But I don't know what it's seeing or what it's shooting. And so then I bring it back up and I look at the footage and it's like perfect concrete hallways. It looks like concrete. It's all covered with zebra mussels. But they're like hallways that they start out narrow and it looks like they get wider and they go out to the edges and they're all the way around this thing. And then I've also dropped a drop shot in that center hole and it never stops. Like it will just spool all your line off.
What?
So
What do you mean by center hole?
So it's like 200 foot across. I'm trying to think how to explain this. Well, here this is a pretty good example. This is a baby sound machine. It kind of looks like this, except this would be a black hole, and it would be 100 foot this way and 100 foot that way. This hole would be, say, like 30 foot across or something. And then there's little like window pieces that run around the outside that are cut out. And if you drop a GoPro or a camera down in this hole, so like this is all flat. Like there's nothing. It's just flat, covered in zebra mussels. But if you drop something down in this hole and look, there are hallways that shoot off the outside underneath this roof piece.
Okay, so that's where the Loch Ness Monster lives. And what are you going to do when you start catching 5-pounders off of it and they put it on Bass Live?
Well, here's the thing. The first time I found it, I caught a couple big ones on it, and I was like, I'm going to run back here in the tournament. I run back there, first day of the tournament. I shut down. I don't even get to it. I see a dot on my graph, and I just pitch my drop shot back, and I just put the trolling motor down. I'm like getting all my stuff ready because it's a long ride to get there. I pick up, and it's heavy, and I set the hook, and up comes this 6-pounder like airborne out there, and it comes off. I'm like, holy cow. And so I just proceed to work. I'm like, well, that sucked, but I'll just proceed to work my way up to the mysterious underwater object. And I catch like almost 22 pounds off of it. Quick. Well, sweet. I'll just come back here again tomorrow. And I think I was in the top 5 after that first day. I run back there the second day. I catch 1 4.5 pounder off of it. And then I've never caught another bass off of it again.
What were you doing out there to begin with, if it's that far?
I was just driving. The contours aren't great. And I was just driving, like making these big loops, just looking for anything to, come up on my 2D sonar. I'm just driving around, and all of a sudden it goes whoop, like a big hump. And I mean, I've been driving for like hours, and it's just a slow taper, nothing. Like anyone that's down here on like the entire lake is just a slow taper out. Nothing. Like the entire lake, all the way up to Saginaw Bay. Like the whole thing's shallow, whatever. Even up on the north end, it's flat. So
That's crazy.
I just driving around, and I just happened to drive over top of it.
anybody else say, "Hey, Brandon, I got a secret to tell you." They're way in line, and they're like, "I don't want this to be weird, but I saw a UFO today, and I wanted to share that story with you." Or are you just like,
No, and I've never seen it. I've never seen another boat on it.
"Wow, that's crazy"?
Yeah, I don't know. It's wild.
Speechless. I'm speechless. I mean, that's even
Wow.
better than we imagined.
I have no more questions.
Yeah. And it's so perfectly symmetrical. It's weird.
It's the plug of the lake. It's like the plug.
Yes, I don't know. The crazy part is there is nothing else for miles around it.
So, like, have you done
From
research and thought okay, when was the lake when did they get to this water level, and how did it?
But it's the Great Lakes. It's not like they just dammed up and made the Great Lakes like a reservoir.
I just asking.
And there's nothing else. There's no other wreckage or anything. It's not a shipwreck because there's no wreckage or not like the, I don't know, cylinder of a big giant ship or something. Because there's no other.
I mean, it's 200 foot across. Like, how big would the ship have to be for a cylinder? It's not like it's spun a hub that's 200 foot across.
It's a government science project, is what it is, fellas.
Yeah, they haven't tracked me down yet, so they must not be too concerned about it. But all the I've tried to look up Great Lake shipwrecks. I've watched some PBS documentaries on Great Lake shipwrecks and I've never seen anything like that. All the dive videos and stuff from shipwrecks, I've never seen anything on that.
So I think you should take Mercer out there.
Do you believe in Bigfoot too?
And let him do his little swimming with the fishes thing down there, like he does.
That is a good idea.
And let him.
I have to tie a rope to him though, because I'm afraid he might get sucked in there and never get back.
Well, yeah.
I need a cable winch.
Yeah, that's probably the most disturbing part of the thing, where you cast down in the middle and it never stopped.
That weird, ugly clown, it might live in there. So you're right. It might actually be the drain of it might be the plug of the lake.
I mean, how much line did you let go down there? How deep was it around the hole?
I mean, it's the deepest spot I've seen around is 46 foot, 47 foot.
So it's 47 feet, and you let it go.
I mean, we're talking I don't know, 150 yards. A lot. The problem is that you never get it. You never get it back. It's how if you're in a really bad thunderstorm, there's a lot of electricity in the air. It'll pull the line off of your spool. If you leave your spool open, it just slowly keeps pulling it off into the air. It's like that, but in the water, and it just keeps going. But you never get it back because it's so covered up in zebra mussels that it just breaks you off, and you don't reel it back and get it back.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Is there? The only question I have, because this has just got me freaked out. If it truly does have some sort of a magnetic force or something, okay, Does your GPS like start searching? Does like
No,
your boat like
no,
start
it hasn't done that.
still or anything?
No, I've been out there when it's calm. Your boat just sits there.
Okay.
It's not
But
like it has a. It doesn't seem to have a pole above the water.
But like if you don't have like I run Lowrance, so if you don't have a 0.1 antenna and you're setting still, like your map will start kind of like searching a little bit, like you're not moving
Yeah.
or whatever. Does your unit start doing that?
I don't notice it. No.
Okay. Well,
Have you ever had a
No.
camera out there, like a camera guy out there with you?
Nope. Nope. Because I think that they just all the fish disappear. It's like you're not allowed to have a camera out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they
I'm
they
just
don't want it
wondering
to
if
be
you had a
known.
camera, would it even film?
Probably not. I wouldn't even get there. My boat would probably break down. Something crazy would happen.
I mean, just the fact that there's never been any fish there again, it's like they don't want you to come back.
Yeah. No, I've never caught another bass off of it. And I've probably fished it 10 more times.
I think you should send Taku out there. I think you should send Taku out there. And I think he needs to go out there with his special juice and his special white dust and his little funny looking squared dice with the tingly things coming off. And I think you need to say, Taku, I need you to go check this spot and tell me what it is.
I mean, I could, but he'd be wasting his time because I've got an AquaView camera now. So when I drop it down there,
Yeah.
you just don't see any smallmouth on it. It's out there.
So,
Mm.
does your AquaView, will it record?
Yeah, I think so. I need to record it just so the
Yeah,
rest of the world can see how wild it is.
Yeah, you do.
Like,
And then you need to come on our show and reveal that first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, was that
Wow.
was that a commitment?
No.
No.
I don't know if I'm ready to share it.
Yeah, I don't know if I would be either, because you might be. Once you really
that could be
share it,
smart.
that might be the end. You might get. They might just
Yeah.
come get you.
Yeah. It's like asking for unwanted attention.
Yeah.
like mysteriously like come up missing, John, or what are you insinuating?
Yeah. I mean,
No, it'd be a whole
aliens.
line of black Suburbans pull up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think those guys are here just to watch waves. Yeah.
I don't know either.
Crazy.
To be decided.
Speaking
Yeah.
of Taku, did you know? I heard this today too from Justin Hamner that I was listening. Did you know there was like freshwater jellyfish in Smith Lake in Alabama?
No.
What?
Yes, according to
New one.
Hamner, and they looked it up. Him and Panger looked it up while they were on the show today or last week, whenever he was on the show. And yeah, there's some kind of freshwater jellyfish, which makes total sense why Taku's catching fish on his little jellyfish looking thing.
Yeah. Never would have thought that one.
Me neither. David Deffenbaugh says there's jellyfish in Kansas. I had no idea there was freshwater jellyfish anywhere.
I'm curious if we have them in Idaho. probably too cold.
Yeah.
Well, no, Kansas is cold.
Yeah. Gene
Oh,
Gilliland just
Gene,
confirmed.
see, there's Gene.
Oh my.
I mean, if Gene says so, then it's official.
Yeah. Wow.
That's a
Now we're really
real
getting into
thing.
the.
Mhm.
Now
Thanks,
I'm
Shane.
now
Thanks.
I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna have to buy some of them dang whatever tentacle looking things that he throws, and
I'm just gonna make a jellyfish.
yeah, there
It
you go.
looks like a piece of dog food with squared off with some skirt material strapped to it.
Mm-hmm.
What is your, if you had one bait to throw for the rest of your life and you couldn't throw anything else, what would it be?
Fishing tournaments or just
Just
fun
fishing.
fishing?
Just fishing.
Man. It'd probably be a glide. I'd probably just live and die by the sword and just throw a glide all the time. I'd be out there counting down a glide in 35, 40 foot of water. Just take my time.
Count it down. So how deep what's the deepest you've ever caught a fish on a glide?
For like 35 foot.
Oh my gosh.
That just blew Kyle's mind too.
Yeah. It takes a while. It takes a lot of patience.
Yeah. Okay, for a tournament bait, what would it be?
Oh, hands down, it'd be a X-Stone deception worm and green pumpkin on a drop shot.
Okay.
That was fast.
It's what?
That was a quick answer.
Yeah, I've just won way too much money on that bait in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
It never is my boat. There's only one tied on. Doesn't mean that it gets thrown every day, but there's always one in there.
Nice. What's one thing you want to accomplish this year?
I want to be more disciplined in all facets of my life. Whether it be work or organizing tackle or working on projects at my house.
I would have thought you'd be pretty disciplined now.
I mean, to an extent, but I feel like I could be more disciplined.
Career-wise,
There's
what do
always
you
room.
want?
There's always room for improvement.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I did such a terrible job of catching bass last year that I can't win the classics, so that one's out the door.
Would that be
I'd
your?
like to win. I'd like to win another elite.
Yeah. Would that be your answer if I just said, "What's your biggest career goal?" Obviously.
Yeah, I think from a hardware standpoint, but not just from a personal level. That would be it.
Do you think the classic or the AOI is more important?
Personally, AOI. The classic, from a recognition standpoint, is across the world is probably a bigger deal from like a metric standpoint, but it's only 3 days, and so if you win the classic, there's undoubtedly some amazing moments that happen in that 3 days. But if you win AOY, there are tons and tons of amazing fish catches and moments that happen through the course of those 9 events.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, along with some hardship, and so like the culmination of AOY, I feel like is a bigger deal to me than the classic.
Do you think the 100 anglers on the Elite Series feel the same way, that AOY is may not be as, I mean, it's pretty prestigious, but it's not it's not as well known as that classic, and that classic trophy, that's a pretty big
Yeah.
deal. But I feel like the anglers, the ones that I know, feel like that AOY is pretty important.
I would
You
say
think?
80 to 90% of the guys would pick AOY over the classic.
Yeah.
I think so. Just from a competitor standpoint.
Yeah. I think
But
there's
it
some
only pays
anglers.
$100,000. Classic pays $300,000. So depends on what your
Yeah.
priorities are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's some anglers out there that have hung on a long time for that classic. That
Oh,
they
yeah.
haven't, that every year, I think that's goal number one. I think is a lot of people's goal number one is to make the classic and win the classic. And then they say that they want to win an AOY, but then when you ask the anglers, they tell you the AOY is means more, uh,
Yeah.
which I kind of agree with. I mean, it's like you said, the classic's a whole different ball game. There's no points. You're just going out to win a tournament. Everybody there is
Mhm.
shooting for a win. They're not shooting to make the last place check, or because everybody gets a check. At least I think they still do.
Yep.
And that AOY, and you've got 2 of them, so that's a major accomplishment. And I
Yep.
can't wait till you win the classic, because I know you will someday.
I know.
I know you will.
I feel like I need to just go back and qualify for the classic through the nation, so I can say I'm the only other guy to win the classic through the nation, other than Kirchhoff.
That'd be awesome. I
Yeah.
think that'd be awesome. Try to do it
Yeah.
some year when I'm not fishing the nation.
Yeah. Well, no promises. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind making
Hey.
the.
If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. So I would
That
prefer
is-
that you were there, so I can say that I beat the best.
I don't know about that. I'm not there at
Oh
all.
my.
Yeah. Yeah. Danny, ask your other question that we ask all the time.
Well, this is going to be a little different because not everybody travels with their family,
That's
and
true.
maybe. So for the Palaniuk clan traveling across the country, when you have the opportunity, when you see the sign on the interstate, where is one place that you guys can't pass up? You have to stop and visit. A restaurant or a park or just some place that you have to stop if you're going by. Favorite place?
That's a great question. Never been asked that one or even thought about it. Well, I mean, normally we just eat in the camper, so like a gas station stop,
Mm-hmm.
pull in, put the sides out, kick the generator on, and cook a meal. Is usually how we travel. I'm trying to think of.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's anywhere it's like, man, we have to stop at this place. I would say there's several like truck stops or things that along our route, like when we leave here and we drive down to Tyler, Texas to get boat wrapped, like, we'll try to stop at some of the same places where we know it's like they're clean, they got good parking, things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know that there's
Sure.
we don't have a destination where it's like we have to stop at this place every time.
Too bad, Kyle.
Well, Kyle is hoping that you
lose.
say Bucky's.
Say what?
Bucky's.
Bucky's?
Yeah, Kyle's
mean-
hoping you say Bucky's.
I don't have a Bucky's obsession. I will stop at a Bucky's if there is one near because it is super convenient for pulling in with a giant caravan of vehicles. I mean, I like our heart pal, but I don't think their food is mind blowing.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
I've never
Their
been.
beef
I mean,
jerky
they're.
selection is rock solid.
I mean, yeah, their snack selection's amazing. Their restrooms are amazing. I really love the one person residence per stall. That's nice.
Yeah.
Privacy's nice there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they got a lot of great features, but like I don't think their food is anything amazing.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that. Okay. Taco Bell or Taco John's?
Oh.
Ooh.
I couldn't even tell you the last time I ate at either one of those. I would probably go Taco John's.
Yes. Absolutely.
Nice.
I would probably
Yes.
go Taco
The
John's.
last time I was in Coeur d'Alene, you remember Pee Wee and Patty?
Uh-huh.
We ate at Taco John's because that's my favorite. Every day,
Oh my gosh.
including on our way out of town. I made the whole caravan pull in and eat Taco John's before we left.
Oh, you don't see very many Taco John's around.
I know where just about everyone in the country is.
Yeah. You have
Snoop.
them all
They're,
figured in your
most,
Google app.
they're
There's a
mostly
lot in Nebraska.
they're mostly Midwest and Upper Midwest is where
Yeah.
they all are. But no, Taco Tico is not even close. Del Taco is
Isn't it based in Cheyenne?
that's where it was. Yes, Wyoming. Somewhere in Wyoming is where it started.
Boy, you guys are weird. You know where restaurants began and all this kind of stuff. You guys are strange.
I
Yeah,
think the last one I ate at
Well, that's
was
why
in
we don't catch fish.
Montana.
is where.
In
Hey,
Missouri.
John, question.
Yes. He was going to ask a
If I
question.
bring you Taco John's, can I get a room for like half rate?
Where are you going to get Taco John's when it's not cold here? By the time
I'll warm it up. It'll be all right.
You got microwaves in the room.
Yeah.
that's true. That is
Six
true.
pack in a pound, buddy. I got you.
6 pack and a pound. Yep. Super potato olays is the best. All right.
It is. That's always my go-to.
Yeah.
I haven't had dinner yet, guys.
Oh, are you
Me
hungry?
either.
I'm starving right
Oh.
now.
So where did this ice cream? How did this ice cream thing start with you guys?
It's because
Cut.
Kyle and Tiff ate too much ice cream. So I'm the kind of guy that like I don't have to go to the store and buy ice cream. Like, I don't have to have ice cream in the house. But if it's there, I'm gonna eat it.
Yes.
And so we were eating way too much ice cream.
Mm.
It was always in the camper, and I'm like, guys, we can't just be eating a bowl of ice cream every single night. This has to stop. So we're only gonna eat ice cream when I make a cut. It's gonna be a healthier choice for the entire team. And so then it turned into like, oh, we make the cut, and then I make a top 10, and of course Kyle and Tiff are like sugar fiends. So like, well, it's another cut, so are we gonna go get more ice cream?
Yeah.
And then when I win one, it's like, oh, are we gonna go get celebratory ice cream? So that's how it became cut ice cream. It just kind of started out as a joke. It became cut ice cream because when we made a cut, we went and got ice cream. I never thought it would turn into people wearing like cut ice cream hats, t-shirts around, and
Yeah. I mean,
Going
I
and
eat
getting
ice
it
cream when you
themselves.
make a cut.
yeah, I actually have several friends that do that. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you this. So we do the same thing. We eat way too much ice cream. Like, and it's usually, so I go on Thursday night, I have like a men's group at church. So I go to that. And then on the way home, I buy ice cream. And it started out as I'd buy like a pint of ice cream and one for me, one for Val, and bring it home. But once in a while, it's on sale. So I buy like 6, like 6 different flavors or whatever. And so and if it, like you said, if it's in the house, we're going to eat it. So it's gone in like 3 days,
Yeah.
whatever. And so then we got to buying the whatever half gallons. And so when I make a bowl of ice cream, I make a bowl, like half the half gallon is in my bowl.
yeah,
And so 2 weeks ago when we were in Colorado at my dad's and my stepmom's, we had ice cream. And my stepmom dished it up. And there's like 2 little bitty scoops in the bowl. And my wife and I just looked at each other like, there's not even anything in here. It's like and she's like, maybe we should do this. Maybe that should be our portion.
yeah.
Probably wouldn't hurt. Wouldn't hurt us at all.
I mean, when we go and get ice cream, like we end up at Dairy Queen a lot because there's a Dairy Queen in like every small town in America.
Yep.
And that happens to be where a lot of bass tournaments end up too. And so it's the most convenient choice. And typically they will order a medium and I order a mini. And I'm perfectly good with a mini.
And I tell myself I need to do that. And I do it like one time and I'm like, okay, that was all right. That was enough. But then for some reason, the next time I go, it's like I'm back to getting a medium or a large.
It's discipline.
It is discipline. I have very little right now. That would be
Ice cream's a tough
that would
one.
be probably a goal.
Well,
of mine this year.
John, if we hearken back a little ways in Brandon's comments, he wants to focus on being more disciplined this year. So
Yeah.
perhaps you might join him.
Are you suggesting that?
We made homemade ice cream last night.
Yes,
Allegedly.
allegedly.
Not do it.
Okay. Have you ever had Andy's?
Yeah,
Andy's is
Yeah.
good stuff.
it is good.
Andy's is good stuff.
I've had that Midwest. I think around Table Rock or something was my first time.
And so like when you go north, like to New York, and you can confirm this with these other guys, there's like an ice cream shop on every corner in the like up in New York and Michigan and Minnesota. Like even during the winter, it's
Yeah.
like there's a bar, and there's an ice cream shop. And that's what they do up
That's
there.
true.
They eat ice cream. But most of it is soft serve, like the Andes or like Dairy Queen, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, a lot of it is.
Yeah. Do you like?
Yeah.
Do you prefer soft serve like DQ, or would you rather have like a
No.
Braum's or something?
Yeah, I'd rather have like some real deal stuff. Have you ever had nitro ice cream?
I don't think so.
Where they just make it like right in front of you.
Like a Cold
Went
Stone.
to one, kind of, yeah, but it's better. But it's kind of that similar process. They make it like with the cream and everything, and they cool it and they make it right there. There's a place in well, not very far from the stockyards or from where the Classic's going to be this year in Fort Worth, because we went there last time we had the Classic there in June.
And it's hard ice cream. I mean, it's not soft serve. And they
Yeah.
make it from scratch right there in front of you.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's expensive. But it's amazing.
Sounds good.
Yep. Big fan.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, we got off on some good subjects.
Dude, I mean, ice cream, aliens, bottomless pits. That may be the portal that all the Bigfoots come from.
Yeah. Possibly.
Have you ever seen a
think so.
Bigfoot? Have you ever seen a Bigfoot? I
Brandon,
mean, you live in Idaho.
Personally, no. Stepbrother swears he's seen one.
Really?
Yeah, he swears he's seen one.
Fits.
I don't know.
Who did we have on that said he saw one?
Fletcher Shryock
Fletcher.
and
Didn't know. God, who
was it Fouts?
Jacob
Who
Phelps.
was it that has? Who was it that has like the documented? It's not Becker.
Stefan? Matt?
Yes, he has like a documented.
Yeah. We need to have Matt on.
Yeah.
Talk about this. Because I think
Yeah,
he's
his
Like a whole thing.
his is pretty legit when I listen to his story.
Yeah, we need to have him on.
Yeah. Be one.
You got anything else, Kyle? Any other? I mean, we got way off the fishing stuff, and we
It's all good.
haven't been down any. I know Devin Pino's disappointed that I haven't lost my cool on forward facing sonar tonight, but
You know,
I have a new
I'm not
warning
gonna have
sign for that.
It's necessary.
Every time you go sideways on sonar, that's the sign that's going up.
that's my sign to hush. All right. Go ahead, Kyle. You were starting to say something.
No, man, no. Just honestly, Brandon. I mean, we've kept you for quite a while here, so appreciate everything you've done.
Yeah.
Appreciate everything you're gonna do, and I mean, just thanks for taking the time and coming on and having a chat with us, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
We'd love to have you on again sometime.
Thanks for being a
Yeah.
After you
Hopefully
figure out
my-
the UFO thing, though, first.
Yeah. I need to get some video footage of that first.
Go ahead, Dan. What were you going to say?
Well, I just wanted to thank Brandon personally as a grandpa. Thank you for being a good role model.
Yeah.
Thank you for being a good example to the younger guys.
Yeah.
You're
Much
welcome.
respect for that.
100%.
You're welcome.
I mean, you're not just a good example.
I mean,
for
honestly,
the-
Brandon,
for the young guys, you're a good example for the rookies that come in, even the ones, even the old guys, like we had Matt Herron on. You're a good example for Matt Herron, grumpy old man.
Matt Herron needs to lie, doesn't he?
We love
I
Matt.
love Matt.
Speaking of Matt, oh, by the way, we can't let you get away. So Matt Herron came up with this idea that he wants to start
I forgot about
that. Like a Top Golf except
Like
fishing.
Top Golf.
Yeah, Top Golf except fishing. So you have boats like your fish tanks that have the boats on the top of them. So these boats would all be like the Top Golf, and there'd be tanks out there, and everybody could use their forward-facing sonar and catch these fish, and that would be the competition. And so I don't know if y'all saw this, but tonight on ESPN, starting tonight, is simulated golf. It's professional golf, but it's simulated. And they have teams like Tiger Woods has a team, Rory McIlroy has a team, and they hit on a simulator, and it's all indoors, and they have a green that moves, like it changes slopes. So once you get on the green, every green is going to be different. And it's got sand traps around the green. So if you hit it in the sand, you got to go up to the green and hit it out of the sand. I can't wait to watch it. It's cool, but it reminded me of Matt Herron's idea because it's all indoors and all the scopers can scope and see who's the best scoper on that thing. And that was Matt's idea. What do you think about that, Kyle?
It's pretty cool.
You're gonna need
Well,
some
It's
investors.
pretty cool.
We are going to need some investors.
I mean, I absolutely loved Matt Herron's idea. I mean, I thought it was great. And of course, I bought in with it, telling him that I would donate my 1999 203 champion. I'd cut it from the console to the bow,
Yeah,
and I would be the first guy that would donate
hey.
the boat.
and I'll donate my 2012 Ranger so we can have different brands represented.
Right. I mean, if you want to fish out of a narrow blue and silver champion, then by all means, boys and girls, here
Yeah.
you go.
So I guess our question is, do you want to invest? That was what brought me to this
Brandon.
question for you.
How much does $10 get me?
Uh,
Bag of
Do I get
popcorn.
a carpet decal or what do I get?
$10. Not much. actually.
Not much.
Hmm.
Not
Yeah.
much.
You're gonna need a good 100 million.
You would be the
probably.
first investor, though.
You would be.
You guys are saying there's a
Or something.
chance.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
gonna have to
There's
get
a
a hold of
chance.
Matt.
There's a chance. All right, Brandon. We appreciate you being on.
Hey,
Yeah.
And
Brandon.
can't wait to have you on again. Good luck in all the boat shows. I know you were one of my favorites to watch when I went to the boat shows. Are you coming anywhere near us?
I don't think not this year.
All right. Well,
Nothing close this year.
probably you'll be at the classic, but not. I
I will
imagine
be
you'll
there grinding away in the expo.
Yeah, we might make it down. We might not. I don't know. It's not that far from us, so maybe we can
Yeah.
make it down there.
Come on down.
But good to have you.
Yep. Thank you.
We'll have you on after you win your next elite event.
Deal.
All right. Thank you,
Yep.
buddy.
See you in.
Thank Tiffany
All right.
and your girls.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. See you guys.
Later. Cool,
Good.
dude.
Quick
Yeah.
break, be right back.
That UFO story was
You'll be
better
right
than
back.
I expected.
Yeah, and
Definitely.
I was trying to figure out how to get back on screen at the time. We could still hear you.
Yeah.
For the folks at home, we are, we're still using StreamYard, but we're on the big money paid version now.
If anybody wants to sponsor,
Yeah,
we'll be down for sponsors.
there you go. But anyway, so it's a little different to, the buttons aren't all in the same place. And I don't know if that was his connection cutting out, if it was me cutting out. It was a little rough. Maybe,
I think Brandon-
maybe sharing
no,
it to too many places.
Yeah. Brandon was cutting out, I think. But that might have been him. I mean, he's up in Idaho, kind of out in the boonies. That might have been him. But you're cutting out too. Kyle wasn't to me,
Mm-mm.
and it was just you,
Yeah.
Danny. It seemed to be a little bit of a delay from you guys.
And that have to figure it out. Get one of these smart alecky viewers we have, like Devin Pino, that could help me figure that out.
I mean, several
Hi,
of them
Devin. Love you.
Several of them were watching on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
I think that was working good, and
So you're driving across Lake St. Clair, and you run into something on the graph, and you spin her back around, and you pull up, and what the heck is this thing? And there's a black hole in the middle of it, and you drop your bait down in it, and it never hits the bottom.
yeah.
That's pretty much what I heard, DB and CB.
Wow.
Ain't that
Hillary
something?
Clinton, allegedly.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. There it is.
Allegedly.
Phew.
I don't want to have the 6 fucking split.
We're still on the air.
I understand that.
Okay.
I'm getting fucking shushed.
Yeah.
So where's that edit button?
The first
Connor Barrett,
night,
everybody.
the first night we're on all the channels, and we get shut down.
There's something about free speech somewhere.
Oh man.
Yeah.
HC. We'll just say that.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah, I mean,
I
Devin
still
said,
like Crank's background.
yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I got to do something about mine. Mine's pretty plain.
Well, you just got to get you a piece of cardboard, John, to put behind you, so you have a green screen.
Yeah, that's like way above my head. Green screen.
No. Watch this. Hold on just a second. You guys keep talking. Watch this.
So hey, not to change the subject, but Kyle's changing the subject. Coming from a town possibly near you, the Idle Zone
Look at this.
Syndicate may or may not be at the Idle's Boat Show.
Yeah.
John, are you coming up?
When is the boat show?
24, 25 of this month.
Planning on it. Yeah.
Okay, so everybody's gonna be there. Possibly not producer Crank with the cardboard.
Yeah, I
background.
got a work banquet that night. My annual work banquet.
But hey, we might be there. I definitely will. Kind of looking forward to maybe doing a little bit something interesting there on Saturday, especially. I heard that Rick Clun is planning on being there both days.
Huh?
So
Planning to be there.
I don't know what time exactly he's going to show up, but I know he'll be there all day Saturday for sure. Casey Scanlon's also going to be there for the fishermen. Should be a good time. Maybe we'll be able to catch him at some point. Maybe sit down and just do a little small Q&A. But we need to figure something out and maybe try and get one of our listeners on too. Maybe get Fitzwater away from his booth for 5 minutes and see if he can't show face. Just should be a good time. So everybody that's listening, keep that in mind. The January 24th and 25th at the Memorial Auditorium in Pittsburgh. You'll see us there.
I don't know if y'all were watching I still can't ever see how many people we had watching. Do you know how many people we had watching?
At one point, we had at least
we were
22
over
or 23, I think.
I
That
know
was
we
just live.
we had a lot of people that I don't think had tuned in before. I don't want to say a lot,
Yeah,
but
I saw
there was a
some
few.
different folks.
I saw my daughter Bree
Mhm.
checked in. Also a
Mhm.
Broncos fan, by the way.
Too bad.
No, she's a smart girl.
Yeah.
Smart girl.
Allegedly.
And then Dwayne Wally, who runs Tourney X, the app, that all the kayakers
no kidding.
use.
Cool.
I saw Dwayne checked in. I don't know if he's still watching, but hey, Dwayne.
The thing that obviously the most obvious thing that helps us is, share on Facebook, just do whatever you decide to do. And obviously just, try to, if you want to maybe consider your business, if you happen to have a business brand or something that you want talked about occasionally or more often. I heard you guys mention it, but we are officially paying for a subscription for StreamYard now, so we may or may not be looking for sponsors.
Oh, we are.
Just throwing that out there,
I
fellas.
No,
that.
we
May or
are.
May not.
There's no may or may not about it. We would love to have.
We're
someone.
absolutely looking for sponsors.
Yeah, so I mean, it is
If that
what it is.
Bigfoot back there behind Crank had $1 in his pocket, I'd go get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there you have it.
Yeah, that one. We
Now,
have
John,
fun.
just to answer your question too, we're at like 800 views so far for the night.
Nice.
So
Awesome.
Very nice. Very nice.
And next week, we just keep on a rolling. Who do we have next week, John?
Just a late entry. Like an hour before the show. Got a commitment from Mr. Mark Menendez. Gonna be on the show.
nice.
That'd be a good
That's
time.
cool.
So Mark
That'll be a nice one.
Menendez, good dude, and kind of, I don't. Him and John Cruz are kind of leading this angler, whatever advisory board or whatever it's called. I don't know what it's called. We can find out more from Mark, but him and John and 4 or 5 other or 6 other elite series anglers have a anglers association that has more say now in the things that go on at Bass and in their jobs basically. So that'll be interesting to talk to him about that and how he thinks that's going to go and how it's supposed to work. I think that'll be interesting to ask a few questions on how that's going to work and what they see positive to come out of that. And that's the whole goal I think the whole goal for everybody is to not have a year like we had last year that was full of negativity and just everybody just wants to get back to fishing. And I believe Bass does and MLF does, and I believe all the anglers do, and so this is supposed to help that. So and I think it will. At least I hope so, because I'm game for that to be not as negative next year.
Mark is a really, really interesting dude, and I look forward to the conversation next week. You see him on Bass Live, kind of help commentate a little bit here and there. Seems like maybe sometimes more often than others, and he does a hell of a job. He really does, and he's overcome some pretty big things in his life, and it'll be an exciting time to have a chat with him next week.
Yep, absolutely. Should be good.
Absolutely.
Should be good.
Cranker,
Yeah.
do your thing, buddy.
Let's get out of here.
We out?
You guys go eat.
The time?
And I'll kick this kid in the
Sorry
hind
for making you hungry. Go have some Taco Johns and some ice cream.
Ooh, that sounds good.
We'll see you guys next week then.
Sounds good.
Yes, you're right.
I wish it was that green right now.
Yeah, I do too.
Mm-hmm.
Or even as green as an alien.
Hey, I took that fucking picture of my boat.
Still alive.